Welcome to Insider, the official podcast for the city of Murfreesboro. I'm Mike Browning. Our topic today are the many road projects in Murfreesboro. Our guest is Murfreesboro City Engineer Chris Griffith, who has a heavy workload right now. Chris, I wonder, when you first started here many years ago, can you compare the number of projects you may have had then compared to the kind of project numbers you have today?
Really, Mike, some of the projects, as far as the number of them, has stayed the same. But let's say they were a lot smaller. we were just mostly improving local roads, improving roads that may serve a subdivision or just a specific area. Then I guess about 10 years or so ago, we started really looking at some volume eating roads, some ones that really would carry a lot of traffic. And then, of course, with a lot of traffic, you're also going to get a more expensive, a higher cost associated with them. First one that we did with that was Veterans Parkway, and by all rights, that's been just an incredibly successful road and kind of redirecting traffic from some of the interchanges in downtown areas.
And I assume part of the growth of what you do includes bridges, because you've done a number of bridges now, even if it's around schools to get pedestrians and bikers. But you also have this big project, River Rock Beasy Road Bridge, that's going to be a major outlet for people from that Thompson Lane area.
Yes, it's a project that we're excited about, Mike. It will. You're exactly right. It'll serve the River Rock, kind of the Evergreen Farms area, and really just looking to give those residents there a way out of that. We understand that that Thompson Lane, Old Fort Parkway, that whole area there at I-24. That's just I drive through that regularly. I have family that lives in that area, so I go visit them, and I'm going, yeah, I see what what folks are complaining about with the traffic. But that'll be a direct route whenever we're finished with that to get folks out that want to come into the downtown area, that want to come into some more of the heavier commercial area. It'll give them a direct route to go directly from the residents to that area without having to kind of navigate the interchanges there. The first phase of that, we're just getting them across the river. The phase that will actually go across the interstate will come at a later date. But we're excited about this project.
You probably get a lot of people say, so when are you going to start on that project? And your response is probably, well, we started 3 or 4 years ago with design and engineering, but people don't see that part.
It's such a great thought, Mike. Matter of fact, I was just talking with our project coordinator. We moved him from he was on the construction side. And so he was responsible for implementing these plans and for getting the construction going and all that. And he's been, I guess, about the last 3 months or so, about 3 months, he's been working on the project planning side now. He's a project coordinator. He's working with consultants. He's working with utilities. He's working with the environmental departments.
All the things you don't see.
Yeah, exactly. And I told him, I said, it's not like, construction is more difficult than the planning and the design phase. I said, but both of them, have their challenges. Right now, on a project that we're getting ready to start on the Warrior Drive intersection project there at New Salem Highway. We're working with Middle Tennessee Electric. We're working with Comcast, AT&T, Atmos Gas, all the utilities. Of course, the property owners in there and the impact. So he's kind of going through all of that now, and we're on a very condensed schedule with that as well, because we would like to start that project and have the work done really within the next 120 days, and it's about $1 million worth of work that we're doing there.
So are you starting to see something visual at that location yet, or when will we see something start?
If you go out there today, you'll see the stakes on the ground where the engineering, our consultant that's doing the design work. he does that. He kind of lays it out so everyone that's involved with the project, the property owners can see the work that's being done, or they can kind of say, okay, it's going to move this far back into our property. See if we got any signs or anything that has to be moved. And then of course the utilities, they'll walk out there and say, okay, here's my sidewalk. I'll be able to put my poles here. So that's where we're at with it now. But this is such a condensed schedule that I foresee probably next week we'll probably start excavation and some of the work on what I call the Riverdale side of Warrior Drive.
So that'd be late January, early February.
Yes.
As we sit here
yes.
today. And that's going to be a 3-lane road?
Ultimately, Warrior Drive going back towards Warrior Drive going back towards Riverdale High School will be predominantly a 3-lane road. What we're widening to now, which is our intersections, which are typically our pinch points whenever you get into traffic volume, and where we have that'll actually be 6 lanes in there. So we're doing double lefts, double throughs, and really just trying. And what's bringing a lot of this on is the increased development that we're seeing there on the Warrior Drive side.
And Highway 99?
And Highway 99, yes. Just an incredible amount of development, commercial development. We've got some industry moving in there, and we're really just, we want to get out in front of it. Some of it is started. You'll go there and you'll see some of the businesses that's been there for a while, but we're really getting ready to get some pretty heavy hitters in.
So at some point in that project, you'll move from 2-lane to a 3-lane road, or
yes.
from a 3-lane to a 6-lane.
Yes. So, and that's what will start taking place, I suspect next week on the Riverdale side. Right now, it's all about right-of-way, the property that we need in order for to start the work. We're fine with right-of-way on the Riverdale side. We've got extra wide width there, but we need some additional property, and again that goes back to working with the local property owners. We've already reached out to everybody that's going to be affected by this initial work that we're doing, and we're just basically trying just to work out the details, make sure that the project. The last thing we want to do is it's going to be it's going to be difficult for them during the construction period. But once we get out of the construction period, we want to make sure that it works well for them and it works well for us as far as moving traffic through. And I'll say, for the property owners that we're working with in there, they're excited about the project. They think it's going to be a big help in the area.
Is right-of-way more complicated when you're dealing with a residential commercial area than it is like on Cherry Lane, those phases where you're mostly farmland? And it would seem like it'd be easier to purchase farmland than it would be residential commercial.
Yes, and it's certainly whenever you're looking at bigger tracts and the only thing that you have to watch on farmland, and I'll say I still remember the Cherry Lane public meeting that we had is one of the more difficult ones that I've taken part in, not because the project is terribly difficult, but because you can get into family farms, people that have lived in an area for a long time, and I appreciate that. Listen, my wife grew up on a farm. Her dad still runs a farm, and I appreciate the fact that long-term landowners just kind of want to be left alone. And when I call it difficult, it was. I realized what we were, the impact that we were having to that area. Now, Cherry Lane is crucial for moving forward for the city of Murfreesboro. It's just like Veterans Parkway was on the southwest part of town. On the north part of town, we need Thompson Lane, which the state is moving forward. I'm actually purchasing right away for it now, Thompson Lane between Broad Street all the way to Memorial, and then this Cherry Lane project.
So give us an assessment of where those are in terms of what you're doing with both Cherry Lane and Thompson.
Sure, yeah. It's the Thompson Lane, that's managed by the state. It's a
Tdot.
state route. A lot of people don't realize that Thompson Lane's a state route through there, but Tdot manages that. They're actually in the process of appraising the right-of-way. May have actually, I don't think they've actually started making offers, but the folks that live on Thompson has probably been approached. I know the city owns some property out there. I'm usually the city's representative and stuff like that. So I know their appraiser has contacted me about some of the right-of-way that's needed on that. So once that's probably a good 2-year deal as
From
far
beginning
as,
to ending?
Yeah, as far as buying the right-of-way for that, it's just I'd say it's well over 100 tracks that they have to buy, bits and pieces.
So this started
through
some
there.
time ago then?
It started
The
actually the
right-of-way.
first of this year, and then I'd say I'm sorry, the first of 2020. We're already in 2021. And then I would have to think that it would take at least the rest of 2021.
Another year just to right away.
Just to purchase the right-of-way with it, because you don't want to, we deal with projects, like you said, for 2 or 3 years before the public may even see them. And something that we're used to and we're familiar with, it takes people a little while to kind of get used to the ideal of it and get used to the idea that they're going to, you lose 5 feet off the front of their and people usually say, bigger road, more cars, which, the thing about that, I don't think anybody would disagree. There's a lot of cars using Thompson Lane right now.
Do you ever put up signs that say "coming soon," or is that a double-edged sword when you know it's coming, but it may be too quick?
We do that when we get close to construction. We'll start putting traffic control and stuff like that up. If you just put a barrel out or a series of barrels out, just to get people in their mind, hey, there's something going on here, and there's going to be construction in the future. And we have put variable message boards up that says, construction. I remember we did that on Blaze Drive before we did that work, because we were going to have to shut Blaze Drive down completely. There was a little section of it that was just in horrible shape. And and we waited till school got out or was close to getting out. The high school and middle school is right there, Blackman. And so we put variable message boards up and say, hey, this summer, try to avoid this area. And it was great. Actually, the school altered their schedule for us with that. Blackman High School, Rutherford County Schools, was set to have summer school at Blackman, and then they saw the sign and said, hey, we need to move it, so they moved it to Riverdale that year.
And you also have a project very near that Blaze Drive area on Brinkley. Explain that one.
We do, sure, yes, absolutely. That's a, we saw really a pedestrian need when we had our public meeting there. I know my daughter lives in that area, and she doesn't go to Blackman anymore. She's actually at MTSU, but she used to walk to school and on occasion, and it's just not a situation that we like, having to cross that bridge without any shoulders or anything. So we're going to widen the bridge.
That's Overall Creek, right?
Right there, yes, at Blaze Drive and the Berkshire subdivision there at Overall Creek. We're going to widen the bridge to 3 lanes. We're going to put turn lanes into each one of those locations to kind of help the traffic. And then most importantly, we're going to add pedestrian improvements. So we're going to make it wider. It's going to have a multi-use path across the bridge. And then we're also going to provide a path to go under the bridge so they can actually cross Brinkley Road without having to cross traffic. Obviously, probably the biggest feed for the Blackman School Zone is the Berkshire subdivision there. And so we think that'll be a big help for
Will,
that.
will that require you to elevate the road somewhat to create a bridge, or how do you do that engineering?
We do have to we do have to elevate the road somewhat. So there's an old bridge there now that was designed to kind of what we call old county standards.
But you can't walk under it.
No, exactly. No, it's so it will completely demolish that bridge, and then we'll have to elevate. This bridge will actually come through higher, because we do worry about, kids. Some kids ride their bicycles, so we'd like to have the kids be able to ride the bicycle under the bridge as well. So we're looking at trying to get about 7 or 8 foot of clearance, but still try to stay as much above the flow line of overall creek as well. So
When will that start?
hope to start later this summer. Should take about a year to complete. So the goal would be to start when school is out, and then finish up before school starts back up in 2022.
One project everybody sees going on right now, the Tdot project on New Salem Highway, and obviously the traffic congestion was already significant there, but now it's complicated by all that construction.
It is. It's and several structures through there. I don't know if you picked up on that, Mike, but there's a lot of either bridges or box culverts that they're having to build through there, and that just takes time. You have to wait for the concrete to cure, and you have to, and that's just kind of for the first phase, for the deck and stuff, and you still have all the parapets and the guardrails and everything with it, and of course that's also major route through town. That's a heavy utility corridor, and I know they started out just from feedback I was getting from Tdot and from the contractor out there. It took a little while to get the utilities up and out of the way. I think they're past all that now, so they're moving forward at a pretty good pace. They're still several months out from finishing that job, but it's a good contractor. They've done work for us, and I'm sure they're doing everything they can to finish the job up.
Help us understand how many miles they're doing there, if you remember offhand, and then, will they be coming in doing more, going further west, or how is all that going to work out?
As I remember, it's about a 3-mile project. I could be off on that. Don't hold me to it. It's they do it. They being Tdot kind of breaks projects up more based on cost than they do miles. That's that's close to a $30 million project, which is about as much as Tdot would want to start with any particular phase of a project. And so yes, but once they get done with that, and they also don't like to have too much construction going on at one time. They don't want to string out a project
for a long period of time.
Yeah, for a long section. It really, you think about it, because a contractor kind of comes in and finishes everything up all at once. He tops the whole road and does all that. He likes to do all that at one time. So if you think about it, if it was a long project, then say the stuff up around back closer to Old Fort Parkway, up around the drivers, the vehicle emissions testing place there, or even the sheriff's, that stuff would be torn up while they were working on something down at Thompson Lane to be completed.
Which slows the traffic for a long
distance
exactly. On a major
exactly.
artery.
So they've kind of done. They've kind of taken a stepped approach. But to answer your question, the next phase should start later this year. I think it's a little bit of a moving target because they don't want to start too early before they get the other phase finished. But around May or so of this year, or I'd say summer of this year, you may actually start seeing some work going back on from I-24 back to Old Fort Parkway is the next section. A lot of development in that area, a lot of businesses, some
So get ready. Right?
Yes, some industry, but I'm sure the folks that that live in the section now will be glad to have that done, as we will as well.
Another project that we heard about recently that we publicized was the Rucker Lane Phase 1, and you're still preparing for that one. Where is that on the agenda?
That project actually advertises for bid this actually Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yes, it'll come. It'll be in the paper. We usually run that for about a month, and so I think I believe the 2nd of March we'll actually open bids on that. So we're excited to get that project going. That one was one that we had bid the project, we were ready to move forward with it, and then the shutdown with the virus happened.
Slowed it.
And so we just kind of stepped back. That was a project that made a lot of sense to break into 2 phases. So the first phase, Muirwood, or the Muirwood subdivision, Mercury Boulevard, right around that area, back towards Veterans Parkway. That road now kind of meanders back and ties into New Salem Highway. You can still go that way, but that won't be the main route. It'll actually curve back to Veterans Parkway and tie in there.
Why has that road in particular been on the agenda? What's the issue there?
A lot of, you'll hear me say this over and over again, an older county road, which really served the few hundred cars that used to use it well during that during that time period of its existence. Now, we've got several developments on there. It's become a nice little cut through between New Salem and Franklin Highway. So, and it was starting to show its age. Matter of fact, we've had to make quite a few repairs on it, and the pedestrian facilities that, we build sidewalks on all of our roads. Anything that we put in now has got sidewalks on it, and a lot of residential area with some commercial on either end. So we hope folks will take advantage of that too. Maybe instead of jumping in the car and driving half a mile to some of the commercial that's around there, maybe they'll get out and walk during that time period. We've had success with that. We've had, especially on, we'll say, Fortress Boulevard. We've got a lot of commercial, some apartments and stuff that's kind of centered there around Blackman Elementary School. But we have a lot of folks walking up into the commercial areas on either end.
When you're adding sidewalks there, or you just did add sidewalks near the coffee shop, Starbucks, right?
Yes,
right in
yes,
there,
yeah.
right?
We completed that loop. I go around kind of looking for footpaths, little dirt trails where folks are already walking, and
that needs a sidewalk.
Yes, so we'll go in, we'll come in behind them and add some sidewalks there.
And speaking of sidewalks, Mercury Boulevard, how soon will that get started?
Yeah, that's actually that project has been advertised as well. It's slightly ahead of the Rucker Lane. It was advertised about a week or so ago. So we hope to. We did push the bid date back on it to till the middle of February. There was a conflict with the Tdot bid opening. So, but we're excited about that. Same thing, we've got residential kind of in the middle of that area there, Mercury Lane, but we've got commercial on both sides. That was a project that the residents had actually came to us, said, hey, it was back whenever there was even more commercial planned. It was a Kroger that was planned to go in there on that corner. I think since then, the Kroger has changed its plans, but the residents said, hey, we'd like to be able to walk to this Kroger rather than having to go in our car and there's nothing there. So we actually applied for a grant from Tdot from that. They loved the project, and they gave us the grant. It's going to cover about 90% of the construction cost. with the city picking up the other part of the cost.
So does that include federal money as well coming from Tdot, or is that all state money?
It is, it's a good question. I'm not sure. So many of our grants are kind of mix and matches with Tdot. We almost all look at them all as state grants, but I want to say that has federal money in it because it has some of the requirements. Some of the Buy American First and some of that comes with federal grants as well.
And the other one that we would be remiss if we didn't bring up, just because it's received a lot of attention and we're getting closer, I think, to maybe starting on, would be the Bradyville Pike. And that's been several years in the making, in preparing, designing, and everything. So give us an assessment on when you might. Are you in the right-of-way phase on that?
Yeah, so we, our legal department started the right-of-way acquisition phase on that about a year ago. And I'd say we're probably about halfway complete. It's over 150 tracks. Of course, same thing that I've mentioned before, utilities that you're kind of having to work through. And
all those individual negotiations with each one of those tracks.
Exactly. You want folks to feel comfortable with the project and have a good understanding of what's going on. Some residents they care less about it. I'm getting sidewalks, that's great, kind of thing. But when you get into the businesses, you get there at Minerva. It's a heavily commercial area. You change their driveway setup, you change something about that, then you have the potential to affect their income. And so we've done a lot of work. I know our negotiators have done a lot of work on making them feel comfortable with what we're doing, how it's going to look after the project is complete. So we just can't, that's actually, as far as it's taken a year to get us to where we're going, I just can't say enough good things about our legal department and Jim Kerr and our transportation department. They've headed most of that up and just doing a phenomenal job just working through the questions that the residents and the business owners have there and how far we've come with it.
Well, Chris, thanks for your time in explaining all these projects. I certainly wouldn't want to wear your shoes. There's a lot of projects with a lot of pressure to get things done quickly.
It is, and if I could just add, the mayor and council have just supported us through all of these projects. I came here from had worked in another municipality where maybe you didn't have that kind of support for those types of projects that were going on. Maybe they decide, to spend their money on other things. But the mayor and council, they absolutely know how crucial a good transportation network is to the vibrancy of a city. And I'll just say I don't get turned down much whenever I make any requests. They give me a little bit of a hard time. They thank me whenever I don't bring a change order and kind of make me plead a little bit for the change orders that I do have. But they have, I guess we've been at this for about 19 years now, and just all the mayors and the council that I've worked with have just been wonderful support.
Well, it is the number one issue that most people comment about or talk about, and I'm sure it's the number one issue that the council hears about. So,
sure.
Again, that's where the pressure comes in for you.
Sure.
Thanks so much. City Engineer Chris Griffith has been our guest for this edition of The Insider. We've been highlighting Murfreesboro's road projects and originating this podcast from City Hall. Thanks for listening to The Insider via Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music Audible. You can also watch The Insider on YouTube. Our producer is Michael Nevels. For more information on the fast-growing city of Murfreesboro, visit www.murfreesborotn.gov. You've been listening to The Insider, the official podcast for the city of Murfreesboro. I'm Mike Browning. Thanks for joining us.